Well, hi, everybody. This is Dave Johnson. I'm honored to be with Gary Lindner, a doctor of physiology that knows everything
Ooh.
about pretty much everything. And our hero, Rick Murphy, uh, done amazing things for our country. And now he's going to do further amazing things as we battle uh, health and wealth in just an amazing moment here. But let's change everything as far as how we think about health and wealth.
That sounds pretty good to me. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah,
I think so. Let's go for it, Rick.
All right, Dave, I feel like 30% richer after just hearing that now in all areas, so I'm ready to go, man. I love working with you guys. With your guys' permission, let me run through this real quick, and I'm going to go just straight through it. You guys add in whatever you think, pop in, finish up with it. But what I wanted to do tonight was Dave actually started this conversation talking about talking points and meeting people last week. And I was so excited about it because one of the things in my background that I don't talk about a lot is one of my early jobs was working with a U.S. Senate race. And I got to work with people that make $300,000 a month to run races. And one of the things we went to was on messaging and marketing. And actually the name of one of the classes I went to was Talking Points. And they were talking not just about how do I talk, but how do you get 10 or 20 or 50 people so everybody in the campaign is doing the same stuff. Because if you look at the platform of the Republican or the Democratic Party, it's 50 pages. And when you're running a primary in particular, and you've got 10 candidates that all basically believe the same things, you can't come out and say, I'm for smaller government if you're a Republican, because the other 10 think the same thing. You can't come out and say, I'm for lower taxes. The other 10 think the same things. So what are your talking points to pull yourself out of the pack? There's two things talking points do. They separate you from the pack. The second thing they do is they help you be on message. And not just me, but Dave in Idaho, Gary in California. So how do we all get on the same sheet of music? And that's, I'm going to run down some of the things. I actually pulled some of my old resources for how to do that. And then remember also that talking points are different than conversation starters. If I'm with somebody in a line and they happen to be a Bernie Sanders supporter and I am too, I may start by talking about I'm really upset at the way things are going today. That doesn't make me a Sanders supporter. I could be a Trump supporter. I could be a Sanders supporter. And then if they come back and say, yeah, I am too, and I say, yeah, can you believe that all the money is wrecking politics? I could still be a Sanders or a Trump supporter. It's when you get down to the nitty gritty to where you start defining yourself. What defines me as a Bernie Sanders supporter? I'm for, social justice and all those things. Those are his talking points. Okay. So the conversation starter is different than a talking point. And I'm going to try to explain the difference in the two tonight as we run through this. But the talking points, here's actually the definition. And I pulled this from an old resource. It's a succinct, which means very defined statement. It's designed to support a point. A statement that separates or defines is a talking point. So let's take that forward towards what we do in NECAN. When I first got into NECAN, there was 6 or 7 network marketing companies: Amway, Herbalife, Melaleuca, NECAN. And so there were very few. The difference is now, Paige will tell you when she goes to women's group meetings, 2/3 of the women there are involved in network marketing companies. They all have the same basic phraseology about, would you like to lose more weight? Would you like to earn some extra income? Would you like to work for yourself? Aren't you tired of having a boss? Those are our conversation starters, but they're not talking points. Same thing when I'm at the gym. Every time there's a meeting area with like 5 tables and chairs downstairs. And when you walk down at my gym, there's like a L-shaped staircase, and everybody sits in those leather chairs and they do their network marketing meetings. And I always kind of pause to listen. And it's always the same conversation starters. Would you like to change your life? We have the hottest company. We have the best product. We have time to fire your job, time to be able to residual income. That's just like if you're a Republican in a primary, all 6 people are for smaller government. How do you define yourself? And our key thing today is, how do we pull out of that pack to let our message stand on its own so that people can A, see us, and that B, choose us as what they want. The key of a talking point is to look at 5 candidates or 5 companies and be able to clearly see one. Okay. So if I'm talking generalizations about health and there's too many prescription drugs out there today. There's too many obese people. People aren't sleeping well. Those are conversation starters. 25 companies out there could have those same basic conversation starters. How do you take it from that to where you start to pivot to where you can harvest that conversation and turn it into the can? So here's a couple key talking point things as I run through this relatively quickly, and it should be pretty easy for you guys to pick up. One, what can we do that no one else can? That's the first thing you want to do if you have a candidate or a company or a product, is not what can you do that everybody can. Folks, there's 35 companies out there can help you make money. There's 35 companies out there can help you lose weight. There's 35 companies out there can help you with blood pressure. There's 35 companies out there can help your face look better with a face cream. What does Niken do so that after they meet you, you're not just another one of those companies? Remember that again. Death in this industry is after you've talked to a prospect, they say the words, oh yeah, that's another one of those companies. You want to pull out of that pack. So what do we do that no one else can? Always go where nobody else can. That's called blue sky marketing. If you want to be smart with a candidate, if you're the only one that's won the Medal of Honor, that's what you talk about. You don't talk about just low taxes. You do the thing so when people see 5 candidates, they say, that's the Medal of Honor winner. Right away, you've already won if they start to think of you as an individual, not as one of the pack. Your goal with messaging and marketing in Niken is not to be another option or another choice or just another home business with health stuff. Your goal is to stand out so that what you have to say will be different. And one of the challenges we have today, guys, I could pull up 20 things on Facebook now with people whose lives have been changed with their product. Gary, we've talked about this before. You can find 1 million testimonials with people saying, my life has forever been changed. We can't even just go there anymore. We've talked about that before, haven't we, Gary?
Yes, we have, Rick. Yep.
You've got to be able to step out of that. Like I just read one today. My blood pressure, my cancer's gone. One of those long MLM testimonials just popped on my Facebook today. So that's a good thing for us to be able to do, but it doesn't pull us out by ourselves. Next, problem solution messaging. Always look that we have solutions to the pressing problems of our days, finances and health. How do we pull away from the pills, potions, and lotions to be the company? More on that in a second. Stick to key or core points. He who messages everything messages nothing, to quote Napoleon a little bit differently. You don't just want to have a broad shotgun message. You want to pick your key points. Bernie Sanders, who was polling at almost zero, gave a person who owned the party a huge run for her money getting the nomination because he stuck to 1 or 2 points. And that point was the billionaires have too much power and you're taking money from the billionaires. He really didn't touch on a lot of other things. He didn't have to. What you'll find is every election is different. After 2001, you could say national security. That was a talking point because that's what people were thinking about. After the 2008 housing crash, you talked about the economy. Your messaging changes as the problem solution of the times happen. Right now, we're looking at health. We're looking at income things. Those are the pressing issues of our time. Sticking to the key points ensures people have clarity on what we do, not just like you want people to walk away with a spear tip on your message, not a blunt instrument. All right. The idea is for people to clearly see us as unique, not as one of the pack. I said that a second ago. We are the choice, not just a choice. Remember that. If you are presenting yourself as one of the choices as a candidate or as a company or as a product, you're dead on arrival. You want to be the choice. Stay on these points. Avoid rabbit trails. Okay. If you're giving a presentation about talking points, stick on the presentation. If you're talking to a prospect about how we're unique, hit that core point with that person. If that's where you're going, stay off the long rabbit trails. If you like, I hear people all the time talking about Niken and the self-care and the great company, and then going off on a rabbit trail. Yeah, I tried Reiki, and I tried that for a while, and I really believe in that too. Even if it's something you believe in, you're not going to make $25,000 a month residually doing that. Stay off the rabbit trails. All right. Keep your core message on message, and remember, don't try to be perfect. These are guidelines. They're a way to think, to pick your key points, Know who we are, what we do. I'll cover some of those things in a second. Know the difference between a conversation starter, such as there's too many prescription drugs, and a talking point, which is we're the only total self-care company in the world. Talking point versus conversation starter. Anybody can use that conversation starter. Only Niken can hit that talking point. That's what I want to say. I'm going to say that to you again. Anybody can use a conversation starter. We're sick, we're unhealthy, and we're broke. There's 500 MLMs out there making their living on those conversation starters. Our talking point has to be, how are we the solution with the smartest plan, and how can we do things none of those other 500 do? That's a talking point. Next, your personal story and experience is always bulletproof. So once you've hit your talking point, the way you nail it down to be flush with the board is with how that talking point has produced a result for you. Remember, it's not just a generic testimonial. It's the thing that we do. You did the thing and got the result. So here's a couple key strengths. And with the sick care versus the self-care, what we have, here's some key talking points where only Niken can go. We are the only total self-care company on planet Earth. There is not another company anywhere that can say that. That is why that is our lead-off position. That is our medal of honor. There are 500 companies can say weight loss, energy, face creams, you name it. There's one that can say the only self-care company on the planet. That is your key core point of emphasis. That's your Bernie Sanders billionaires buying elections. That is your key talking point when it comes to healthcare. And then you kick back with your testimonial. And I got into this because we were concerned and we wanted to have access to the whole thing. Only Niken does it. And because of that, here's how my life is better. We have 40 years of wisdom and expertise. We spent millions on research, not just bought something at a vendor's fair in Utah. Okay, it's a different ball game. Basic common sense technologies, not miracle cures. You can stick to basic pivot points in Niken: water, air, sleep, rest, nutrition. You don't even have to go the magnetics route, which makes people open up a lot of doorways. Do you believe it? Do you not believe it? It's you can stick to common sense. I've asked medical professionals before, I need to see some proof that these things work. And I'll say, really, doc? You really need a college class to see that breathing, eating, and sleeping would help your patients? And they just look at me. All right. So think about that. Our costs are unbeatable. We can fight on cost and we can fight on quality. Most companies can either fight only on cost or on quality. Niken can win the battle on both. Highest quality, best price in the market. And then next, your power words when it comes to talking points. And we always used to have power words. If you guys ever listen to CNN or Fox News or MSNBC or Good Morning America, doesn't it drive you crazy when all the political operatives get on there and you hear the exact same talking points? You can actually hear it on show after show after show. We're going to get the money out of politics. We're going to continue to look for ways that people, like, take taxes. Instead of calling taxes taxes, now they call it contributions. We're going to increase contributions from those that have been lucky in America to help those that are less fortunate. You'll hear that exact same terminology from 20 different people on 20 different networks. And what happens is that builds a narrative. And then you'll start to hear the news broadcasters kick back to let's take to a Republican. Don't you feel that they should contribute more to help the poor? And then you're left sitting there like an idiot. Fact of the matter is, guys, Democrats are much better at talking points than Republicans. Much better, which is why they by and large define the news. And I'm just saying that as a matter of scientific analysis. So if we want to be better as a company at talking points, what do? We need to know what our talking points are. We're big, we're global, we're smart, we're cost effective, we're the world's only total self-care company. What would happen if all of you started messaging that? Before you know it, it created a narrative. The public would start to know us by those talking points. Your group would start talking the talking points, and prospecting would be in a straight line, not in a shotgun where you've got 20. You look at the people on TV on one of the two parties, that you get 5 of them, they're talking 5 different things on 5 different channels. And you wonder why they're plummeting in the polls. They're not on point. You guys take a look at companies when they don't have messaging discipline. They lose court cases. They lose market share. This is just the messaging wars. If there's anything today with YouTube, Vimeo, TV, radio, streaming internet there's one thing that smart people have figured out. Being on message with talking points can cover every one of those medias. So we at Niken, we've got paper presentations, PowerPoint, we got video, we got audio, we got calls. If we're on message on talking points, and they can be super simple, what happens is your new people don't need to be trained. Your new people are in the culture, and it just becomes who we are. Okay, so just to hit over here quickly, our key strengths with MLMs versus the home career. And guys, I'm telling you again, you got to understand it. You don't even hear me talking about network marketing. And one of the reasons that I don't talk about like generic industry training, that is the cardinal sin of running a campaign, is to say we're different, but we do it the same. Think about that for a minute. You're telling everybody that we're different, we're a career, be a part of it. And then on the other hand, you're saying, but we're just one of 500 choices. It's a cross message. And for every mile you gain, you lose 5 in efficiency. I've always, if you guys look historically the last 10 years that I've kind of been on the scene, I've never talked about Niken as being a company. And one of the reasons that I shun outside stuff is not because it isn't good or doesn't have value. The minute I get in the boat, I lose my ability to move and get lateral. So when you talk about Niken, here's some things that pull us out of the market, so that on one hand, I'm not saying, hey, we're the smartest choice out there. And on the other hand, I'm saying, but we're also just one of the choices. Think about that, okay? So you take a look at this. Niken versus the traditional MLMs. We have real products that drive a real opportunity, not vice versa. Most of the companies you guys run into, and this is just the truth, they're going to sell you an opportunity, and you kind of overlook the product. You're first in, the hottest comp plan. You know it's just a jug or something or a pink pill or something, but you kind of don't think about that because you're just thinking about being first in. In Niken, the business creates the opportunity. The products create the opportunity. It's founded on common business principles. And here's the principle. Whether you're selling off the back of a cart or selling it at a store or selling online, if you've got good products that people want, they've got a good price, that creates the opportunity. And the MLM world tries to have the opportunity create the product. It's backwards. We're reverse. Self-care creates the business, and the business propagates self-care. It's a symbiotic relationship. And I'll tell you something, and I don't really know what this means either. I think we'll find out soon. Had a really great call with Mr. Foley today talking about the October event. And let's just say all he said to me was, there's some very, very exciting things happening vis-a-vis the comp plan in the fall. I don't even know what it means. What I think it means is we've completely retooled and updated the company for the customer model. Now we're going to do some really fun things that we're able to do because that creates the opportunity. I don't know what's happening, but all I know is on the phone today, he sounded so happy and so excited about the event. It got me excited. Okay. So
if I could say something right there,
oh,
Rick,
say all you want, man. Go ahead.
I'm just so pumped about this because if you look historically at anybody in any company that's done really well, what they've done is they've put in like a 90-day push and just worked really, really hard. That's always the way. That's how I did it, and that serves you for a long time. And you could say maybe that somebody makes 6 figures by doing it one time, and the 7-figure earners do it multiple times. And I think this is just really a magic moment, this pivotal point as we just are starting to feel and get comfortable with the landscaping of fundamentally product that does make a difference, that
you bet.
It really is, it is, oh my goodness, that no one can argue that we have the very best product of anybody. But then coming out with a comp plan, that stand alone, because a lot of people are looking for opportunity. That's what they're going to look at, and I believe we're going to have that all in place. And then if you look at today being the 20th, that means that we've got about 100 days till October. And that's just kind of a magic thought right there. 100 days. What could you do? Well, you play it right. These next 100 days could change the whole rest of your life.
Yep.
And so myself, I'm going to do a 90-day push. I recommend you do the same, or a 100-day. July. Wow, I think this is the time to really run. So July, August, September, all through that. There's people that we don't even know that could be silvers in our group that are going to be on stage right there. Why not? So let's get out there and just share. It's all mostly attitude. One of the things I'd also like to, since I'm kind of on a roll here,
No, go ahead.
Your personal story experience is always bulletproof. A person with experience is never at the mercy with somebody with an opinion. And I've heard this statement. You probably have too, that facts tell, but stories sell. And you want to get that down. And I think that's the magic. That's how I really launched my business, was telling stories and then recording stories of my people that I'd shared this with, and they would listen to these stories, and it's compelling. But don't just whatever falls out of your mouth and just kind of go along, because often you get excited and all of a sudden it's a 7-minute story, which can be, oh, wow, stop. But they might not really say that, but they'll just lose interest. And so be concise, make every word count. I've heard it said that nobody can be brilliant spontaneously all the time. And so really professionals, they've got their story already figured out. They've practiced it. And I would recommend you record it and ask other people to listen. That could actually be part of your prospecting, is go to your brother-in-law or somebody and just say, hey, let me have 2 minutes of your time. I want to tell you my story. And then tell that, and then say, hey, I want some honest evaluation. But also, if you can record that and then just listen to it yourself and be thinking in your mind, would I get in if I heard this? And I believe later on, as you get moving along and you're telling your story to prospects, you're going to be excited. All the words count. They really are moving. And you'll, in your mind, you'll be thinking, my goodness, wow, I just sponsored myself all over again. And that's the kind of feeling you want to have. And so in a lot of ways, if you kind of consider it, if you're a professional, every encounter, you're sponsoring at least one person, yourself, each time you do that. Yeah, it's make it, be a professional in this. And that's, I think, begins with a story. And if you don't have one, borrow someone else's and tell that story a lot. And that works really well. So anyway, just
awesome.
my thoughts. I guess one other thing, I really appreciate what you're talking about here, and the world has changed. I've been doing this a long time, and say 30 years ago, you could just put an ad in the paper, exceptional opportunity to earn, and you'd have prospects respond to that. If that happened today, they wouldn't even see it. It just, nothing would happen. A number of years ago, you could approach somebody and say, hey, do you keep your business options open? Kind of a loaded question, and they always said yes, and it worked really well. Trouble is that's such a powerful little phrase there, a script, that everybody started using it, and so now they've heard that before. And as you mentioned, Rick, everybody's stepping on top of each other, and we've got opportunity overload. So this is such an important thing that we're covering right now, is the uniqueness of Nikan, and we need to be really good at standing out. We are different. We are awesome, and we want people to join us before they get into something dumb. So anyway, those are my thoughts.
You know what's interesting about this, and guys, I can tell you can look at what's happening in marketing right now. The companies that take off are the companies that get this. Nike used to dominate sports. Every top athlete was in Nike. Under Armour came out with the name and their guerrilla marketing, and they got the right people on board, and they knew their talking points. I walked into a academy yesterday with my dad and my son, and my 3-year-old got his first putter for golfing, and we had a great time. But what's interesting is the Nike stuff's at the back of the golf section now. It's crazy. Nike is like the second thing in the store now. They lost the talking points. They didn't update the new world, and they got whipped. You guys look at what happened, and I use there's nothing that's more pure marketing than politics. You take a look at the Republicans had 17 candidates. And I don't care if you like or you hate Trump. This isn't even about that. It's just a point of political science. The reason that he is the nominee, he's the only one that was different. There were some that were kind of different, but what people are looking for today is the thing that stands out. Why did Bernie Sanders draw 20,000 people to rallies with no money, 78 years old or whatever? He's a curmudgeon. because he was something so different, saying things that no one had ever heard, that people were drawn towards it. If you look at what's happening today, the things that draw people are things that are different. You've got to know where we're different. Start the conversation of, too many prescriptions are out there today, it's terrible, or too many people are overweight, or nobody has retirements. Every MLM can start those talks. Everybody does it. Okay. Then understand your talking points. Well, yeah, that's why I'm excited to be helping to bring the first self-care company here, because we recognize that's a big issue. And then you tell your story of how it's affected you. You've got your conversation starter, you've got your talking point, you've got your story. Then what you have is you've got a doorway to when people walk away from you, they remember you. You're not just the third MLM that gave them a sample of energy drink that day. And that's the truth. It's the same stuff. Let me finish up these last couple talking points. I want to go to Gary and back to Dave. Some of the things I like to tell people for talking points is you can build it once with Niken. It's built to last. Our comp plan is built to give your kids an asset. I think one of the things, the way MLM has been sold, the binaries in particular, the last 5 to 7, maybe 10 years, is you get in, you make a ton of money, but there's no lasting value there. They go up like a rocket and they drop. What's happened now is a lot of people we've got people online that are friends of ours that are in their third MLM in the past year. And these are good friends of ours. And I'm not talking 1 or 2. I'm talking multiples. I see people at the gym and I think they're doing the same MLM. They're in the second or third one before Christmas to spring even hits. So people are starting to realize that if you can sell value at a time when people are selling shams, right, you're going to have something. And I think that one thing that transcends eras from the 1700s to today is people want value. So if you're smart, you combine excitement with value. That's what we have. So we're bringing the world's first self-care company here. We have the first home career because we have a true customer and a true business plan that's designed so, yes, you can build it fast, but then it's built to last. Those are talking points, guys, that I hit constantly. And I just got someone texted me, say that again. I tell people all the time, we're the world's self-care company. And what we've done is we've created a total environment for health. No one else can do it in the world. And I always say that. And that creates the world's first home career because we have a true customer experience and we have a business model that's built fast, but it's built to last. So you're not only getting it going, but you're giving it to your kids. This allows separation from the stigma of the pack. My power words I use with prospecting are you're early in the next wave of $1 billion company. That always has traction with people. It's simple to begin. The word retire, I know that's not actually what we do, retire in the traditional sense where you putz around in Phoenix, but the word retire has got powerful connotations with people from 20 to 70. If you say, how would you like to be retired in 3 or 4 years? I see a lot of people, their lights come on because people equate retirement with done, not with old age. You're done with the rat race. That word retire has power in it for some reason. I've always, seen it. And the word first of a kind, that's a big one. And so if you take a look at these things and just kind of put some of these powers in vocabulary and understand what we do, what they do is you stand out, people remember you, it's fun, it's easy. You start to position Niken, and just to give you guys an idea, that crazy Niken plan, the way we wrote it, was actually designed, all the talking points, the way that this was written, was a way that you don't have to remember the talking points. Once you've done your conversation starter and you know your story, we wrote this Niken plan to put the talking points in it so you don't have to remember them. So really, I didn't really realize it until Dave was talking last week. I wrote this to be a talking point. Every section is a standalone talking point on what we do. So when you're giving it, this is designed to cleave from the pack, and it's written to be like an off-ramp from what's out there and an on-ramp into Niken. So you don't have to worry about memorizing all these power words. They're all built into the plan. Okay, so that's basically what we've done already. And I think if you see this, what's going to happen, you're not going to be the next MLM. You're going to start to get better results. But the other thing that will happen, if we can start teaching this, is we'll have a culture in Niken. I just saw today, because I was thinking about talking points, I watch the Democrats on like 8 channels, all saying the exact same thing. And I watch the Republicans on 5 or 6 channels, all saying different things. All of them defending themselves. No, we don't need to ban guns. Yes, we need to ban guns. Freaking out, and all this stuff. And I see the Democrats sitting there nailing it, and that's why they're winning. That's why they're winning this debate. And as a company, we have to get people on the same talking points, not by forcing it, but we just start rebound. The way a message ought to work, and I just talked about Kurt to this today, the way October's going to work, Niken's going to set a message, and we're going to pick it up and rebound it, and then the prospects will start rebounding it. The way a message works is the leadership comes up with the talking points or the message, and then everybody rebounds it, and then it becomes culture. And what we've got to start doing in Niken is starting to get a rebounding message to where we turn on 8 different channels in Niken. You don't see 8 different presentations. Here's one talking about this, and here's one talking about that. We say, oh, we have wonderful diversity in Niken. Yeah, but we don't have a country. Okay? The sameness is what makes culture. Okay? And the difference is in the story and in the experience, but the sameness has to be who we are. And the minute you lose everybody agreeing on who we are is the minute you no longer have a society and it falls apart, which is what you're seeing. Okay? What we need to have in Niken is a core group of people that are on message so that when we're talking to prospects, when people see a Niken bumper sticker going down the road, hey, that's the self-care people. Hey, that's the first home career. I need to be a part of that outfit because that'll help me get home with my kids. When we get to that point, 20 billion won't be enough to do what Niken's going to do. And these talking points will get us there. And thank you, Dave, for bringing this to our attention last week. This is the place where we need to really get our rebounding going because it'll impact prospecting. It'll impact retention. It'll impact duplication. It impacts everything. What do you say there, Dr. Gary Linder? We'll go back to Dave, then we'll be quiet because I'm going to Schlitterbahn tomorrow with my boy and my wife.
Well, Rick, you hit the nail on the head. It's you and I have been talking about this, and we really, as a field, need to have the same language, the same terminology, these same talking points, if you will. And the two that really are strong is the self-care message, and then the self-care for finances with a first home-based career. One lets the other exist. The concept of us being unique is not an arguable point for anybody. There is no other company on this planet that has a self-care solution like we can provide in a very simple, easy, common sense manner. You also talked about talking about magnetics. I usually avoid that conversation myself, even though I could explain it. Many of my new people can't. But we use those technologies to deliver some of the common sense solutions, water, air, sleep, along those lines, to be more effective. And when we stick to that, people understand it. We don't really need to go explaining, as you said many times, the effects of far infrared or the effects of magnetics on amoeba on Pluto, even if it's on Pluto. And maybe they do, who knows? But another debatable point. But I love the direction we're going. I love the results that we're getting here in California with self-care. I love the conversation of self-care for finances and talking to people when I'm showing them our business model as well. One leads to the other, and each supports the other. We have new upgrades from people that started as clients, and that's the other advantage we have. We create clients, not customers. And a client, by definition, is somebody who keeps reinvesting, keeps investing in their self-care program through that self-care portal as a registered customer. And then upgrades, and also doesn't just have a respect for Niken, but also the respect for what we can provide in the form of self-care for others. So they actually graduate to a self-care advocate, if you will.
And let me show you something, Gary, on that too.
Yeah.
You see my screen?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We looked, when we started talking about self-care, and this was a huge part of the conversation we were rebounding, we talked about financial self-care and physical self-care. They're both self-care. That's the second pillar with your financial self-care. We wrote that into the plan because of what you said with that. That is our talking point, is that self-care, to deliver those pillars. That's what we're talking about with a talking point. Whether you're talking about the products being self-care, or whether you're talking about the business being self-care, it's irrelevant. They're both self-care. That's a prime example right there of a talking point.
Yeah.
Where that phrase puts us on message. What it also does, it makes it so there's not a gulf between talking about the products and the business. There's one path into it. That's a game changer. That's our talking point.
Yeah.
That's
when
huge.
you're talking about self-care finances, you know, that we've all heard that old phrase, your job's only as stable as your employer's mood. I mean, you know, and most people would agree with that. And again, we're getting great response to that. The business model in itself is explained as the first home-based career, and not just any other network marketing company or any other MLM. It makes us unique. So I agree with everything you're saying. I really do.
It does. We're going to get people on message. What do you think, Dave? You're the Abraham of this outfit. What do you think, man? Oh, we still got Dave. Oh, you're muted.
There we go. Yeah, I just this is the meat and potatoes. This is really the fundamentals. There's a book that I read a long time ago. In fact, this book was published back in the 1940s, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling by Frank Bettger. He actually toured with Dale Carnegie, quite famous back in those days. And the turnaround for him, maybe I could just share this real quick.
Yeah.
He got involved in insurance sales, and he was a miserable failure. He was the worst in the whole group. And he was just completely down in the dumps. He decided to go into the office, empty his desk and into some contents, and just kind of sneak out and don't show up. But well, there he is. He's got some stuff out on his lap, and all of a sudden, all the salesmen come in, and they're just all excited, talking about the conquests and success that they've had, and you know, the more they talked, the more discouraged he got, just totally in the depths. It was like a dark cloud hung over him, because he realized, he knew he could never be like those other people that were so successful. But he didn't dare get up and leave, because they'd probably notice and they'd see his stuff. And so he just kind of sat there. And then Walter C. Talbot walked into the room, and he was the owner of the company. And back in those days, a lot of times people didn't finish school or anything. And a lot of times, maybe 12 or 13 years old, they would enter into the workforce. And that was what Walter Talbot did. He started with that insurance company, went from the mailroom to out on the street to eventually having the presidency of the company. And he's going along, listening to all of this. And then he made this statement that changed everything in Frank Bettger's life. And it was, gentlemen, he says, I don't think it's that really big a deal, the success and everything. He says, you just show me anyone that will go out and tell their story to 4 or 5 people each and every day, and I'll show you somebody that just can't help but make good in this business. And when he saw that, it was just like the sun came out of the clouds. And also he realized he had never done that before. He had never actually saw 4 or 5 people every day. And he actually got disgusted with himself. And he said, Frank Bettger, you've got 2 good legs. You got a mouth. You can get out there and tell your story to 4 or 5 people each and every day. And he made a log, and he got good at telling the story. And the long and the short of it is that he became the #1 salesman in that agency. And I just think, wow, that's all it is. And I would like to tell all of you guys, you got 2 good legs. You have a mouth. The Nikan products are amazing. We have the best story to tell. And that's what it is sharing your story. And just get really good at it. Tell it to qualified people. Tell it to a lot of people. Let the magic of the numbers work for you. And then that relentless accumulation of just a few people each and every day, just like the dripping faucet, that it's just amazing how that adds up. And it's astonishing And it's just a numbers game. It isn't that one person makes you or breaks you. It's just getting out there day after day, and it all averages out in your favor. It's such a powerful thing. I just like to say the timing is right. The next 15, 20 years is going to be amazing because everything is about health. And I think we have a better way versus the drugs and the alternative things out there. That's what is the alternative. We're the right choice. Market is absolutely immeasurable, the timing, everything. It's just, this is an unsurpassed moment. And the next 100 days, let's do it. You'll be glad you did.
So what you're saying, Dave, is self-care matters.
And you know what else? And if he only got one good leg, that sounds like a pretty good story too. Everybody wants to know what happened to the other one anyway. So just tell that story.
Hey, guys, I want to apologize for going off camera for a minute. One of my kids was calling me, and they only call me if they need something. So, actually, my oldest one got locked out of the house. So.
Nice.
I apologize.
I'm fired up, guys. I think I hope we'll have this recording up. I've had quite a few people asking for it on the chats. We'll get it up.
Asking for your slide too, Rick.
Yeah.
That would be really good.
We'll fire them over, but if and don't worry about being perfect. Just have the concept in your mind and be thinking to yourself, what makes us different, not just what makes us the same. And how does this person walk away from me, not remembering me as the 8th person that contacted him that week about network marketing, but the one person doing NECAN. When we have that answer down, it's Andy bar the door. And just your genuine story is your best talking point. Just position it with that NECAN talking point so that it has a point. And then watch what happens to where the decimal point goes in your check, because it'll start to move farther and farther to the zeros on the left side of it. And that's what's going to happen. So I sure appreciate and love everybody. You guys, anything you want to add before we spend the next 2 hours trying to remember? Hope we don't forget anything on the way to the water park tomorrow.
Well, get a check. Get a check and get some commas in it.
All right. Well, I've got a date with a water park and an American flag Speedo, Gary. So here we go.
Too much visual, my friend.
See you guys. God bless you both. Love you.
Love y'all. Take care.